So, everyone, I would love for you to welcome beautiful Kelly Downing, who is a spinal flow practitioner. And Kelly, welcome to the Soul-Led Spirit Driven podcast.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I have given you a little bit of an introduction, but in no way probably it does justice to who you are and what you do. So, if you would like to share with us more around your journey, how you became a spinal flow practitioner, because I know that's not the only modality you have.
Oh, you're right. I probably started as a beauty therapist, to be honest. um,
Me too.
that was way back when I was early 20s. I'm 42 now. Um, it feels like another lifetime, to be honest.
I know. Me too.
When I was looking for that particular pathway in my life, I wanted to do something that helped people feel good and helped them heal. But at the time, I just didn't feel like there was much out there that really was it. And I ended up in the beauty path because I knew that made people feel good, and maybe it was kind of surface stuff, but it still made people feel good inside. And I didn't want to be a massage therapist. I thought that was a bit hard for my body because I'd actually just was coming out of a pretty long, hard illness myself. I suffered with fibromyalgia,
Mm.
and just it was a pretty rough trot, and I that was the thing that got me out of my funk, and it was my growth. It was an amazing place to start because I got a lot of anatomy and physiology, and that's helped me a lot now with what I'm doing as a spinal flow practitioner. And just getting to know people's bodies and through massage and facials and things like that, and working with people and their energy and getting to really know that aspect even before what I've done training wise with spinal flow technique. So yeah, that's led me to the becoming a spinal flow practitioner, and so I've had children in between, and I was looking for what was next because I knew it wasn't beauty anymore, and it just kept speaking to me, and I followed up on it and did my training, and I'm so excited because now I get to help people in a really profound way with
Mm.
using the technique.
What a journey. And I can't believe how very similar our journeys are. I mean, I'm obviously not a spinal flow practitioner, but it has, led me down this path of beauty first as well, because very much like you, I thought, how can I help people, and in many ways, we are therapists when we are, doing the beauty treatments and people pour their hearts out or confide in us, right? But I still very much like you said, this isn't quite it. And here we are. You're doing spinal flow, and it's amazing. I mean, I've had a little sampler of it, and it was mind blowing for me. I've sent my husband to you straight away, and it's just such a modality that I am fascinated with because it feels like I've only just, I think, heard about it a year ago, but I don't believe that the modality itself, if I can call it that, is so young, right? It's been around for a while.
I believe it has. Yep, I couldn't tell you specifically how long. I mean, I only found it myself last year as well. So I did a lot of very, very quick, in depth study. I probably was just knuckling down for ages to try and learn it as fast as I could because I just wanted to help people as soon as I could. Yeah.
And that's really what really matters at the end of the day, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
how you obviously were drawn cold to it, and here you are. So
Yeah.
tell me, what was your experience like with spinal flow? Like what if you can take us a little bit deeper into why this modality, why not, Reiki, or I know massage is out of the question because it's very straining on the body, but why this particular modality?
Well, I actually think it speaks to everybody. So I'm like, if you're not particularly like spiritual or that way inclined, it actually doesn't matter. Like it's working with your nervous system. So that's why not Reiki, not like that kind of energy modality that I've chosen to go with for what I'm doing, because I believe like just making contacts that get your brain talking to the rest of your nervous system is just something that is relatable to everybody. Like it's your spine, it's your nervous system. Yes, it frees up like flow and energy in your body, but yeah, you don't have to have a spiritual belief about anything to have healing.
I love that you've touched on this because I know my own experience. So I am trained in Reiki, and even though I don't do Reiki sessions per se, but I use the Reiki energy in my sessions. But you're very right that sometimes when someone hears something like Reiki, for example, right? People could say, oh, that's for woo-woo people. I'm not into this. So they straight away kind of like dismiss that. So they won't even try it perhaps and see how it can help them, right? Same as, like it could be, massage. If you're very much like, no, it has to be a doctor, or, something like a massage seems alternative, and spinal flow, to be honest with you, when I heard it first from a friend, I actually thought it's um, a way to heal emotional trauma. And so, till I met you, I wasn't really sure, or I didn't really know that it does a whole range of things and physical ailments as well.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more around this? So, like who is it for? Who can take advantage? Like why did I have it in my head that it's emotional?
Okay, so there is three kind of stresses that store in the body. So you've got chemical stress, physical stress, and emotional stress. So that's where you're getting your trauma stuff from, but it could be any emotional stuff. Um, these are the stresses that will store in the spine and cause a nerve blockage. Um, so you may like spinal flow is for everybody. Like there's like nobody that it's not for. It can be from bubbas, could be to like older children, any children, adults. It's for anyone. Like even if you have a disability, like it's still for you. If you can't get on the table, that we work out a way to treat you. Like you've got points on the head, we have access points on the sacrum and the cranium. So if you can't access like the sacrum because you're in a wheelchair, say, you can still use an access points on the head. So this can still create change in the body. Um,
Did you say babies? That it's even good for
yeah,
babies?
it's
Sorry to
even for
interrupt you. I was just
babies.
like, what? Did you say babies?
Yeah.
Really? So like how young? And because
Oh, so if I'm treating a pregnant mama, I will say to the mama, so as soon as your bubba's born and you're ready for me, like to come see you, even though if that's in the hospital, like the earliest I can treat bubba like is the best thing, because like there may have been like, birth's big. Like we can come out and it is big. We can come out with a little prick in our neck and there could be a little blockage up there. And so you don't want that blockage to be there. That might create troubles for feeding, say. And so if you get onto things like that really quickly, then the blockage that goes really quickly. Like it could be like a 3-4 minute treatment, and Bubba is like, okay, I'm good.
wow. So if someone's baby suffers from like the dreaded colic pains, is that something that spinal flow can help as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I wish I knew about this when my little ones were little.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many, so I didn't actually realize. Now, okay, so we treat physical as well as emotional. Do you specialize in one or the other? Do you say I'm only here for this or I'm only here for this? How does, like, what's your specialty? I don't know if we can call this, or who are the clients mostly coming to you with and for?
Okay, so there is no specialty. Like I deal with access points and the body gets to decide what the
Mm.
body heals. You come to me with a sore knee, I'll be like, okay, well let's try and work out where you have some blockages and we'll see if spinal flow can potentially help with that along the way. But today I don't get to decide if that's what your body is going to heal.
Right.
Like the layers of stress can build up over time, and we want to peel away the layers of stress to get overall well-being. So like if you've still got blockages in your spine, I want to work with you until they're all gone. Like whether it be I'm peeling the chemical layers of stress off, whether it be I'm peeling off the physical layers of stress or the emotional layers of stress. The emotional stuff can be deeper, so sometimes that can take a bit longer to get to, but it also can be just quick in the first session as well. I've had people that have released that in first sessions, and yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Your body just gets to decide. Your body is super clever. Your body knows how to heal you. It's the same intelligence that wakes us up every day. Like it's just incredible that it's the same intelligence that beats our heart. We're not even thinking about it, or breathes our chest, digests our food. It's that same intelligence. Your body knows how to do it, but with blockages in the spine, sometimes that signal is not getting through to the rest of the nervous system, the spinal cord, because if you don't have freely movable vertebrae, then your spine, like your nervous system, can't feed out those messages to every cell, organ, and tissue in your body. So you want to make sure that you're free of blockages to have overall well-being and health.
Amazing. Okay, this paints a bit more of a picture, I guess, for you, like myself, of how. Now, I have experienced, obviously, this firsthand with you, but still, to even when we were talking about it, I was trying to sort of picture this. Is this a massage? Are we doing like Reiki, just hovering over it? So for any of my listeners who are fascinated by this but can't quite picture like what exactly is Kelly going to be doing to us, could you perhaps share with us like how, like what exactly are you doing?
Yeah, sure. So to begin with, once you book with me, I send out a health questionnaire. It's sent
I
out to
love that
Ryan.
one. I love
Yeah,
that one. I've never had questions like this. Sorry, I was just, I got very
yeah,
excited because I've never seen questions like that. They're really very specific and in depth.
yeah. So obviously you start with like at birth, because like I said before, like you can have like a little blockage from birth. And if that blockage is not cleared, then over time things will start to layer up with the stress piling on the body if it's not cleared. So I go through send that health questionnaire to really find out how long the blockage may have been there and what level of care you might be needing when you first come to see me. Because if you've got something that's prevalent from really early on, then potentially you've had that since birth. So whatever age you are, say 42, I have a blockage from birth. I might have 42 years of layers of stress that have built up. So um, so it's just a questionnaire to sort of figure out before you even come to me, like what potentially could be happening with you. Um, and just to find out where you're at with like your diet, your medications you might be taking, and just have a really clear view of like what your lifestyle might be like and what stresses might be present for you at home, in work, that kind of thing. Um, then you come and see me, and we go through your health questionnaire, we check if there's anything else you might have missed. But then we run through a posture assessment where I check your posture, and your posture also tells me where blockages could be, how you're holding your body, how you're naturally holding your body will indicate to me where there could be blockage in your spine. And then I lie you on the table and I feel for where those blockages might be. So I have like a couple of systems to actually help me find those blockages and really get to know your body, so that while you're in my care as a spinal flow practitioner, I really get to know your body. So in between treatments and you come back, I go, oh, what's happened for you this week? Like, what's been going on? Did you have a couple too many wines this week?
You can tell?
You can get to know people's bodies over time, what's going on. I just remember feeling someone like not too long ago going, oh my gosh, so have you had a really emotional week? Like, because this is not really you. Like, this has not been present before. Like, what's going on?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so amazing. So for that, so like for example, and I know you're familiar with Reiki, for example, with Reiki, or someone who reads auras, or someone who, like me, we access the Akashic records. When we get something like this, like if I see someone, I can tell, oh, your energy is a little bit static, or it's flowing, it's wide open, right? Like, so I use that with spinal flow. When you say you notice these changes, do you notice them, for lack of a better word, intuitively as well? Because you can see them, whether you've been trained or that's your ability, but you can see them. Or is it like, let's say a masseuse or a chiropractor that kind of feels for it, and it's like, oh, there's a knot or there's something. How does that work with spinal flow?
With spinal flow, we're trained by touch and intuition. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, say for instance, I'm feeling for an emotional blockage that might feel like a bit ropey. A chemical could feel a bit spongy, and like a physical thing could feel quite hard. Like your spine could feel quite hard. So that's how I feel for those kind of blockages in the nervous system. Sometimes we scan the body, and that's just like an intuitive stopping. Like, that can be where a blockage
Right.
can be. Yeah, and we're
Right.
taught to do that, and anyone can learn it. Yeah, it's no
And
special abilities needed.
well, it's interesting though to me, because even though you learn the skill, right, to know, which obviously the I don't even know how to say it, the lady who originated or developed this has developed this and worked with this, no doubt, for years and years and years, right? But your sort of like of spinal flow is a perfect example then in why it's important to be a connected being and open to listening to your intuition, right? Because and this is probably relevant to what I talk about, or my listeners know, I always say, even if you are a librarian or an accountant and you are very grounded in this physical world, doing a very analytical, minded job, and you think, well, yeah, I don't know if I'm intuitive because I'm very, analytical or something. There's still, like, we all have these abilities. And even if this so-called accountant at some point decides, I want to do spinal flow, I want to learn how to do it, right? Boom, that intuition that you have fostered over the years is going to come in handy. I mean, as a beautician, often we are very hands-on, we acquire knowledge and experience, not necessarily maybe intuition straight away, right? Like, that's not really taught. But if you have that, that's a beautiful bonus, because then you can give that extra service, right? And then of course, if you switch to or learn spinal flow, then that comes in handy as well, because aside from the things that you have learned, you are now using also the intuitive mind. Kelly, let me just shift a little bit because I am very fascinated with the I guess the stress, the blockages that you have mentioned, and you've mentioned three. Chemical one stands out to me because I would love to know what that means, because in my head I've got it like, chemical is in like we've inhaled something, or like we have like perfume, or like if you bleach the house kind of thing. But I would love for you to explain all three if you can, but really the chemical is what really I am fascinated with, that's something you would pick up.
Yeah, well, all of what you said, that's chemical stress. But you have internal chemical stress and external chemical stress. So internal is anything you're putting into your body. So even the foods we eat, like, if we're not washing them properly, if we're not eating organically, then they can be covered in herbicides, pesticides, things like that. Even packaged foods, like you don't have much nutritional value from a packaged food, and there is a lot of preservatives and things like that in packaged foods. Smoking, alcohol, vaping, anything that goes in the body is that is a chemical stress. Externally, like topically, like the creams, the deodorants, toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, anything.
Air fresheners that we have, yeah.
Air fresheners, sprays we're using on our house cleaning products, even the stuff we're washing our clothes in. Like, sometimes we've been led to think that the stuff we're using is okay, and it's just not. Like, some of it is just really, really toxic for you. And we've got lots of pollution and things like that in our air, like the purity of our water we drink. Like, it's really important to peel these chemical layers of stress off, because we've got a lot of it. So if we can work at like shifting and changing for things that we can change to have less of it in our lives, that's going to add less chemical stress in your body. And then the body will be able to deal with that stress more easily, like, because at the moment most people just have such an overload, like even the body actually will hold on to weight because it cannot hold on to that chemical stress in the body without compensating somewhere. So it will literally hold on to weight in your body if you've got too much chemical stress going on in your body. Because it's clever, your body's super clever. It will try and protect you, and that's how it tries to protect you. So obviously that's on chemical stress. So
and that's of course everyone has it. Like, it's almost impossible to not have, even if you try and eliminate the chemicals, like, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't vape, you don't even use deodorants or anything like that, but still, like, pollution, like you said, or even what comes from prepackaged foods, which sometimes, not everyone is able to eliminate it out of their, food diet. So that is like, that's a biggie, isn't it?
Yeah. And like, so even for instance, you have your hormonal stress there too, like the chemicals of the hormones.
Okay.
So even in products, people like some products, they add like estrogen like ingredients that mimic estrogen. So that puts you off balance in your hormonal expression. And it's just gross.
Yeah. So you've got your work cut out.
Yeah. Look, chemical stress is one of the first things to sort of peel off. Yeah, it tends to be on the surface. So it's one of the first things to peel off. So
that's good news.
Yeah, that's good. And you've got physical, and obviously you can have physical stress from, the type of job you're doing, even just the way you move your body, like in and out of the car, how you're getting in and out of the car, if you're actually turning yourself and like getting up out of your seat properly. Like over time, you can just have micro tears from things that like, oh, I'm not doing that quite right, but it's just a micro tear, micro tear, micro tear. And then all of a sudden you do your back and you're like, oh, I didn't even do anything. But you did. Like you just had micro tear after micro tear. Like it could be how you're getting things out of the dishwasher, you're not bending your knees, and it could be how you're lifting your kids in the car, or just literally reaching for something because you know that not really
and it all
moving,
ends up, isn't it?
not moving functionally, like you're trying to just, you know, take your body too far.
Yeah, it all adds up, and then before you know it, in the worst moment, you can't stand up properly.
Yeah.
So familiar with this. And so what are the other blockages, the other two that you mentioned?
So that was chemical and physical, and there's the emotional. So there's the three
the emotional
stressors that store in the body. Emotional, like everyone has emotional stuff, like we're human.
Would that be emotions from like childhood? Would that be emotional stuff from, you know, like last week I had a fight with my husband and he really annoyed me, kind of thing?
It can be all of it. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but I mean some people have big things, but it doesn't have to be a big thing. If you haven't felt your emotion, then you're not putting like that energy in motion, and it's just storing. Like if you, what do we do with stuff we don't know how to deal with? We put it behind us. Where does that store? It stores in the spine. So if you're not feeling your emotion, whether it just be like, I'm just a little bit angry today, Kasha, like I'm just a little bit angry, like if you're not feeling that, like you're storing it. So I'm like, we're being taught to suppress how we feel, like in this society, like you're not taught to express your emotions. Kids are really good at it. I mean, sometimes it can be embarrassing in the supermarket and lash out, but you know,
they do that.
They're good at expressing their emotion, and you gotta, you know, try not to squash that, because that's like what we know how to innately do is express our emotion. And as adults, we've been told as a kid, like you don't express your emotion. You just gotta hold it in, like So we're all relearning this. We've got to try and relearn it anyway, because you know, like I said, energy, emotion, like gotta feel it.
Yeah.
It's
so true. We do. I mean, we probably even the generations before you and I, like our parents, our grandparents, where they have, you know, passed on often what they've learned, what they've experienced, and it was, you know, it's uncomfortable, it's inappropriate to have a temper tantrum in a supermarket when people are watching, right? So we would immediately try to contain the situation, which teaches children to then suppress it, don't express it. So I can see how that would be something that would be still stored. What about Kelly? Because I'm a bit of a past life junkie. Do you ever experience anyone having this sort of stored trauma from a past life, let's say, or beyond this life, or maybe from when they were still in their mother's womb?
That's so brilliant to Spinal Flow is like, I don't actually know what your stuff is. Like that's your stuff. Like, and it's like coming to me for, and if you know you've got emotions to be released, you don't have to worry that I know what that is. Like, you know, it's your stuff, and I don't create any stories behind anything that gets released. All I know is that like we have nerve blockages and they are getting released, and I'm celebrating that, because that means like you're getting flow back into your life, you're getting more breath, you're just getting more flow, and that's going to be life-changing. It's going to literally change your life. And I don't, while I you know, compassionate to your stories, I don't need to know them. And like for someone who doesn't want to talk about that either, like that's also pretty brilliant, because you can come and get a treatment and go, and you may not even know when something comes up if something comes up emotionally during a session, like you may not know what that is yourself, but you just know it's released.
Yeah. Well, do you know, I really love that. I appreciate you saying this even because I have learned since working in the Akashic records, when stuff comes up, I have to ask questions. And I'm like, sometimes like, oh God, if it was just you and I sitting and having coffee, I would never ask you, I would never say it this way. Or, like this isn't a topic that I would feel like, hey, let me dive in and be nosy. But like from working in the Akashic records, the way it works, like, yes, this comes and we acknowledge it and, or look into it or go into a past life. But I know that even when I think about like circle of friends who see therapists, or they see a chiropractor, they won't go maybe Reiki because they're worried stuff will come up. They would really love Spinal Flow because, just like you said, they don't want to, maybe I don't want Kelly to know that I was abused as a child. I just want this to go away, or I want it to be released, right? So the fact that you said that you don't get like information from the body or from these energy centers as to what exactly happened or where we need to date it, it's released, is I
Yeah.
think going to be something that a lot of people who just feel like, okay, I've got back pain, I've got knee pain, or childbirth was hard and I just need that flow without delving into it, because there's other spaces for that and times. I love that you shared that. So there's peace of mind for those who just want to go and receive some clearing. Now,
Yeah.
Kelly, I like to ask at the end, usually, or at this part of the episode, is there anything that I didn't ask that you wish I asked?
Don't know. We've talked about chemical stress, all the stress levels. We've talked, okay, I guess, like, obviously it's just dealing with the nervous system and innate intelligence. We did talk about that, really. That it's really gentle contacts, like there's nothing, no manipulations, nothing like that. We aim to grow breath because breath is really important to our life, so that we're bringing back the body to rest and digest rather than being, most of us are living by the hormones of stress in fight flight. Um, so we bring body back to rest and digest. The body can put more energy into healing the body rather than putting all your energy towards like being in flight. So say like you're always reacting to a tiger, like not as extreme as that, but like that's your reactions to most things, or you just like in constant go mode because like you're living by the hormones of stress rather than being aligned in your body and just being going with the flow, because spinal flow. Everyone's born with a wave in their spine. So as a baby, we're born with a flippy floppy spine that's freely movable, that, the vertebrae like all move freely. And that's what the spinal flow technique is, to grow, like to bring in your wave and grow breath in your body so that you have flow back in your life, like you have your energy that flows in your body freely to heal you. I think that kind of explains it.
Well, it just actually triggered a question for me. I hope you don't mind me asking this before we wrap up. But children, nowadays are bombarded with so many things. I feel like we're a generation of parents who are trying to do better than previous generations, trying to heal our own trauma and not inflict or project it onto our children. So, our children are in many ways, maybe even, these sort of guinea pigs, while we're trying to do better. So my question is, what kind of emotional, mostly, I guess, stresses or situations or issues that children might have, what kind of emotional, I don't know how to word it without sounding like something's wrong with the child. But let's say as a parent, you notice, okay, they're not being themselves, or they're being very much this, or they're being very much out, they're very scared. Like, what qualifies a child to come and see you that you can help release maybe something that's been stuck somewhere?
What qualifies a child? So what qualifies like anyone really? Like if the child is having headaches or is constantly sick or has like butterflies in their tummy, and like that's potentially anxiety or nervousness or that kind of thing. If they're just really shy or
What
having
about
learning
migraines? Oh, so, yes, sorry,
migraines.
please say that. Please say that. I just jumped in and you were just about to mention something really important.
Forgot what I was saying.
Learning. Learning.
Learning difficulties, any behavioral stuff going on, any speech stuff, potentially, like any range of symptoms. I say if there's a symptom, potentially there is a blockage, and potentially spinal flow can look at helping you move through that.
Okay, that's amazing. Okay, that will be good news for a lot of my listeners, I think, with children who are, you know, going through small or extreme challenges, let's say. Now, I mentioned migraine because, gosh, just yesterday I was in bed, and I don't get them very often. But this isn't about me. This is actually, I wanted to ask. I've got a friend who has a teenage daughter who suffers from migraines, and obviously they've been to all the doctors and no one knows, and nothing in scans. Would she be a good candidate to come and see you?
I would definitely say yes. So migraines are generally related to a blockage in our C1 vertebrae. So
Ah,
right up there, right up the top there. So you can imagine if there's a blockage in your C1 right up there, then it's like trying to turn on a tap with a hose and then putting your foot on the top of the hose.
right.
About 5% of that signal, water, is coming through, and that's blocking all that signal, and your health expression will talk to you. Like our bodies are talking to us all the time. It's just if they're screaming at us or if they're talking to us.
Mm.
And I know that spinal flow technique has helped a lot of people with migraines for sure. Yeah.
Is that reducing or completely getting rid of it? Or depends case by
Reducing
case?
and getting rid of. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that
Yeah.
is really good news. I will have to share this with so many friends that I know suffer. I mean, like I said, my migraine is like once in a blue moon, but I have friends who like are sick for like 3 days, sometimes up to a week. And you know, especially when you go to the doctors and they can't give you any answers. And, you know, especially if it's your child as well, you kind of get to the end of the road and you're like, okay, what else can we do? So that will be really good to hear. Um, Before we go into how everyone can connect with you, Kelly, this might be a silly question, but do you work in person only? Is it possible to do spinal flow remotely somehow or not really? Like, can you act as a surrogate or?
No, we're not taught to access surrogates. We're a hands-on modality and we treat that way only. Yeah.
So everyone will just have to come and see Kelly in her beautiful space. And if you're listening to this, I would encourage you to go to the YouTube channel that I have set up so that you can see Kelly's beautiful face, but especially her setup, her rose in the background, and it's just so beautiful. I love it. So Kelly, any last message, guidance, tips that you could share with our listeners?
Trust your body. I believe that we really need to trust in ourselves. Like your ability to heal is greater than anyone's ever led you to believe.
Fantastic.
And
That
this
is
is
beautiful.
that's pretty much a quote from Dr. Carly Axford, the founder of the Spinal Flow technique. She's an amazing woman. And if you are thinking of studying something else and this resonates with you, she is an amazing trainer.
Wow, yes. And if you are somewhere down if East Gippsland way, down lakes, down our way, you can come and see Kelly, of course. But if not, seek out Spinal Flow, because if any of this resonated, then maybe Spinal Flow is your next stepping stone, your next thing on your healing journey. But Kelly, where can my listeners find you? Connect with you even on social media?
Yeah, well, anyone can find any spinal flow practitioner on the Spinal Flow Technique page, Dr. Kelly Axford's page. You can just type in Lakes Entrance, or you can just find me on Facebook at Spinal Flow Lakes Entrance.
Fantastic. I love that. And of course, all the links will be in the show notes, so you don't have to go and look for it very far. Thank you, beautiful Kelly, for
Thank
being here
you.
with me this half hour and sharing around Spinal Flow. I've been so fascinated, and I know I've got listeners who have heard Spinal Flow, and now we know more. So thank you very much. Have a
Thank you.
beautiful day, and everyone, I will be with you next week. Thanks for that. Bye.
Thanks, Tasha. Bye.